Hi guys, in today's lecture, we will talk about these couple of topics in C Sharp language, and we will try to understand these topics with the example of code as well in C Sharp. So first we will talk about C Sharp syntax basics. Before talking about this C Sharp syntax basics, I will just tell you some of the key features about C Sharp language. The first one is C Sharp is an object-oriented programming language. So whenever you are building a program or software or any piece of code, you have to think in object-oriented programming way. So where like you have to think any object as anything that you have in that program as an object, and then you have to try to define the properties that will contain its values, related values, and some methods that will perform his task that 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 is specific to that object in your program. So this is how you should think about when you are creating any software inside C Sharp language. The next thing is C Sharp is type safe. So in C Sharp you have to define a you can define any variable, but you have to define that variable type. It could be int, it could be string, it could be float or some custom type as well, but you have to define that type. So you cannot define any variable, you cannot define a variable with any type. Like in if you talk about in JavaScript, there you can just define a variable with the var keyword and you can assign whatever you want to. So and that variable will have no type. Depending on the value it has, you can determine its type, but say it is not like it don't have any specific type. But in C Sharp you have to define a value, and if you are defining a variable with var keyword, that you can do as well. But whatever value you are assigning to that variable, based on that value, that variable type will be determined as well. So you cannot later stage you cannot change the value to something else. You can, if you are storing string, you can only store string in that variable at later stage as well. But and same if you are storing integer or boolean type, so the type will be fixed when you are initializing that variable. So and it cannot change you, and you cannot save any other type of value in that variable. So this is the second key point in C Sharp language. And the other thing that you should know about that C Sharp language is C Sharp is part of the .NET framework as well. So C Sharp is in .NET framework. So next step, we will try to understand two common concepts that are in C Sharp. The first one is statements. So all the program can consist of one or more statement, and I will just define one statement for you so you can understand what is the statement. I will just define one variable, I will call it number, and I will assign 0 value, and just to end the statement I will just put semicolon. So this whole line represent one statement. So this is how your program can contain one or multiple statement. I will just output this value to the console. So for that I will use console.writeLine, and I will output the number values. And to terminate or end the statement you have to use semicolon. So here this statement is ending, here where I put the semicolon. At that point this statement ends. So now we have two statements in our program, and in our like in any program or in our program, it can have one or more or any number of statements. And so this is how you can define a statement in C Sharp. The next thing we'll talk about is expression. Expression will evaluate to some values. So I can define another variable. I will call it num2, and I can say that num2 is equal to num1 plus 2. So in this statement, so this whole line is a statement, but if we talk about here, it is a expression that will evaluate to some values. So based on the number values, it will add 2 into that value, and it will evaluate to some x value at the runtime. So in this case, it will just add 0 plus 2, so it will evaluate to 2, and that 2 will be assigned to number2 variable. And the other thing about the expression is it will consist of operand and operator. So in this case, we have plus as an operator, and it has two operand, number and 2. So this and this number is operand, and this plus sign is operator. So this is how expression is defined inside C# language. So it was quite easy for us. So next thing in C# is variable. I will just put comment here. Variables and data types. So in C# we have so many different data types. I will talk about some of the common data types that we most frequently use in C#, and then you can explore the remaining data types in your own time as well. So I will just create one variable. I will define int number3. I will just put it. I will just assign some value. I will just assign 20 to this variable, and I will end this line of code. So here I have defined one variable that name is number3, and its data type is int. So we have so many different data types in C# language. So I choose int because to store number we usually use int or float or double if it is a point value number. So we can use float. Also based on your input requirement, you can choose the correct data type and use that. So in this case, I've created one variable that name is number3. This data type is int, and I'm assigning 20 to this data, this variable. In the same way, I can assign some other variable as well for you, so you can just see how you can define some other data type variable as well. I can define string. I will just name it str. I will just assign something, some text. So in this case, I'm assigning Ali. This is a string value that I'm assigning to this variable that's type is string. In the same case, I can define another variable type, another variable with the type boolean. I can call it is exists. I will just name this variable is exists, and here I can assign this variable either true or false. So this type of variable, data type, can only accept two values, either true or false. So in any scenario where you require only true false value for any variable, you can choose this data type. And there are some other data type as well, so you can explore them as well. And this is how you can define a variable with the data type and then assign it to any and assign a value to that variable as well. And if you want to do it in a separate line, that you can do it as well. So this part here, this is called declaring a variable. So we have declared a variable that name is number 3 and its data type is int. And in the next line I can just say number 3 equal to 30. So now in this line of code variable I'm assigning value to this variable that name is m3. So this is how you can define a variable with specific data type and assign a value in a single line or in multiple line. You can declare it in a one line and assign a value on the next line, or you can do it in the same line in simpler way as well. So this is the variables and data type in C Sharp. Next thing we will talk about keywords. In C Sharp we have in C Sharp language there are some keywords that we cannot use for our variable name or function name. Like int is a keyword that cannot be used as a variable name or function name. Same like boolean is a keyword, if is a keyword, switch is a keyword, and else is a keyword, and return is a keyword. So these words have specific meaning in C# language. So whenever program encounter any of these values, any of these words in your program, it will give in a specific way whatever is defined for C# language. So you cannot use these words as a variable name or function name. So just keep in mind. So next thing I will tell you about something else, that is operators. Operators. So in C# language we have as all the arithmetic operators we can use. So we can use plus, minus, division, multiplication, modulus to calculate the modulus, or to add two number or two more than two number. Same for, so all these arithmetic operation we can use. I will just give you one example. For example, I have variable sum and I can say 20 plus 30, and I will just put the semicolon to terminate the statement. So here I am using addition operator to add these two numbers, and then I'm using assignment operator to assign that some value to these some variable. So these are the arithmetic operators that we can use. There are some other logical or comparison operator as well that you can use to compare the values, two values or more than two values. Like you can use double equal to check if the two values are equal to each other. Same, you can check not equal to, greater than, less than, greater than, equal to, less than, equal to. So all these are logical or comparison operator in C# language. Okay, let's move to the next topic. The next thing we will discuss is comments. So in C#, you can write a comment so to make your code more readable and define what that piece of code is doing using some comments. And you can use single line comment like this. you have to add two backslashes, and then you can write whatever comment you want to write. And to write a multi-line comment, have to put backslash, then static, then backslash. So now in between, here you can add multi-line comments. So whatever comes between this, it will consider as a comment, and this is how you can define multi-line comment in C# language. So now let's move to the next topic, and after this we are going to discuss some of the variable that we already discussed, some of the variable type that we already discussed. So I will just describe some of the key feature of data types as well. Or we have a different type of data types in C# language. So I will define those one by one. The first one is value type. So integer, byte, short, long, all these are value type. Float, and there are some other as well. So all these are value type variables, value type data types in C#. And then we have second type, reference types. So a string, any custom object that we can create, like we can create our own class and we can create object of that class. That object are dynamic type of variable. All these type of variables are called reference type. We will learn what is the difference between value type and reference type. For now, you just have to learn what are the different types in C# language for data types. The next type we have is enum types. So this is where we define our own custom type, and we can utilize those type in our program as well. We'll have one example later, and we'll discuss how to define and how to use and when to create this kind of type. Then the next one is structure. Struct types. It is almost similar, but there are some key differences. Difference between struct object type and class object type, that we will discuss in the next topic or somewhere in the next lecture as well. And the last one is nullable data type. So most of the data types only accept, like if we talk about the integer data type, it will only accept integer number and in between specific range. But if we want that integer type to accept null as well, so we can make it nullable. To make it nullable, you have to put question mark after the data type, and then you can define any variable. I will just call it xyz, and now I can assign null to this variable. So this is how you can define nullable data types. So that's how it is. So we already defined variables, operators. So the last thing is control structure. For control structure, we have two things. First is if, and second one is switch. So using these two, we can control the program structure and flow as well. So for now, you just need to understand that we have these two things to control this program structure, and in some future topics, future lecture, we will discuss these in detail as well. So today we learn about some basic about C# language. I hope you will like it. So that's it for today's lecture. I will see you in the next one, and we will learn some new or some other topics about the C# in the upcoming lecture that you. So see you later. Bye.